Picture this moment with me. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling in those quiet hours when the world sleeps, but your mind won't rest. Your thoughts drift to that conversation you've been meaning to have with your partner, that promise you made to your child weeks ago, or that dream that's been patiently waiting for you to take the first step. The weight of these delayed decisions, these postponed moments, presses heavily on your heart. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow I'll make that change. But tomorrow becomes today, and today slips into yesterday, leaving behind a trail of missed opportunities and disconnected relationships. This isn't just about managing time, it's about managing life itself. And right now, we're going to explore how procrastination isn't just delaying tasks. It's slowly eroding the very foundations of our happiness and the bonds we share with those we love most. You see, procrastination is like an invisible thief. It doesn't just steal time, it steals moments, connections, and ultimately, it steals joy. Think about the last time you put off spending quality time with someone you care about because there was always tomorrow. Or when you delayed addressing a growing disconnect in your relationship because the timing wasn't quite right. These moments might seem small and insignificant in isolation, but they accumulate, creating cracks in our relationships that grow wider with each passing day. Let me share something profound with you. Every time we choose to procrastinate, we're not just postponing a task, we're making a statement about what we value. When we consistently push aside the things that matter most to us, we're unconsciously telling ourselves and others that these priorities aren't really priorities at all. And here's the painful truth. Our loved ones are keeping score, not out of malice, but out of hurt. When you repeatedly delay that heart-to-heart conversation with your partner, what message are you really sending? When you continuously postpone quality time with your children because work needs to come first, what lesson are they learning about their place in your life? These aren't comfortable questions to ask ourselves, but they're necessary ones if we want to break free from the chains of procrastination. But why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we sabotage our own happiness and relationships through delay and avoidance? The answer lies deeper than simple laziness or poor time management. It's rooted in fear. A fear of vulnerability, fear of failure, fear of facing uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our relationships. We procrastinate on emotional connections because they require us to be present, to be real, to be vulnerable. Think about the relationships in your life right now. How many of them are suffering from the subtle erosion of procrastination? How many important conversations have you put off? How many meaningful moments have you postponed? The cost isn't just in the delay, it's in the trust that erodes, the connections that weaken, and the love that slowly dims when we consistently choose avoidance over engagement. Procrastination in relationships isn't just about putting things off. It's about putting life off. Every time we delay an important conversation, every time we postpone quality time, every time we choose distraction over connection, we're not just managing our schedule, we're managing our life's priorities. And unfortunately, we're often managing them poorly. The impact of this relationship, procrastination, ripples through every aspect of our lives. When our connections are weak, our foundation is weak. When our relationships suffer, our mental health suffers. When we consistently choose delay over action in our personal lives, that pattern seeps into every other area of our existence. It becomes a cycle that feeds itself. The more we procrastinate, the more our relationships suffer. The more our relationships suffer, the more we seek escape through procrastination. But here's where hope enters the picture. The moment you recognize this pattern is the moment you can begin to change it. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. When you understand that procrastination isn't just a harmless habit, but an active choice that's impacting your happiness and relationships, you can begin to make different choices. I want you to take a moment right now. Close your eyes and think about the relationships in your life that matter most to you. Picture the faces of those you love. Now, with complete honesty, ask yourself, what conversations have I been avoiding? What connections have I been postponing? What moments of potential joy have I been delaying? The answers might make you uncomfortable. They might even bring tears to your eyes. That's okay. That discomfort, that emotion, that's your heart telling you it's time for change. That's your spirit recognizing that you've been selling yourself short, that you've been accepting less than what you truly desire in your relationships and your life. This realization can feel heavy, but it's actually a gift. It's a wake-up call, an invitation to step into a new way of living. Because here's the beautiful truth. While procrastination might have brought you to this point, it doesn't have to determine your path forward. You have the power to make different choices starting right now. What if, instead of pushing important conversations to tomorrow, you chose to have them today? What if, instead of waiting for the perfect moment to connect with someone you love, you created that moment right now? What if you decided that your relationships were too precious to put on hold any longer? The transformation begins with a simple but powerful shift in perspective. Understanding that every moment of procrastination in our relationships is a moment of connection lost forever. Every time we choose delay over engagement, we're not just postponing an action, we're postponing life itself. We're trading the richness of genuine human connection for the hollow comfort of avoidance. But this isn't about beating yourself up over past choices. This is about awakening to the possibility of different choices moving forward. It's about recognizing that while procrastination might feel like protection in the moment, it's actually a form of self-sabotage that's keeping you from the very things you want most: deep, meaningful connections and authentic happiness. As we continue this journey together, we're going to explore exactly how procrastination has been affecting your relationships and happiness, and more importantly, what you can do to break free from its grip. We'll discover practical strategies for choosing connection over avoidance, action over delay, and presence over postponement. Remember, you're not alone in this struggle. Every person in this room has felt the pull of procrastination, has known the guilt of delayed connections, has experienced the pain of postponed joy. But together, we're going to learn how to make different choices that lead to stronger relationships, deeper connections, and authentic happiness. The journey we're about to embark on isn't just about managing time better. It's about living life more fully. It's about choosing presence over absence, connection over avoidance, and love over fear. Are you ready to make that choice? Are you ready to stop putting your happiness and relationships on hold? Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of all of those postponed moments, all those delayed connections. Now imagine the lightness that comes with letting go of procrastination's heavy burden. That lightness, that freedom, that's what awaits you on the other side of this transformation. And your journey toward that freedom begins right now, in this moment, with your decision to finally say no to procrastination and yes to life. Let's dive deeper into understanding how procrastination manifests in our relationships and corrupts our capacity for joy. You see, procrastination in relationships takes many forms, and each one leaves its own unique scar on our connections with others. It's not just about putting off phone calls or delaying visits. It's about the subtle ways we choose distance over intimacy, safety over growth, and fear over love. Think about the small moments in your daily life where procrastination shows up. That text message you've been meaning to respond to for days. That friend who's going through a tough time whom you've been meaning to call. That family dinner you've been planning to organize but haven't quite gotten around to. Each of these seemingly minor delays sends a powerful message to the people in your life. You're not a priority. We often don't recognize these choices as procrastination. We dress them up in sophisticated excuses. We're too busy, the timing isn't right, we need to get other things done first. We tell ourselves these stories so often that we begin to believe them. But beneath these excuses lies a harder truth. We're choosing avoidance over connection, comfort over growth, and safety over vulnerability. Let me share something powerful with you. Every relationship in your life is like a garden. It requires regular attention, care, and nurturing to flourish. When we procrastinate in our relationships, we're essentially choosing not to water these gardens. And just like a neglected garden, relationships don't remain static. They either grow or they wither. There is no middle ground. Consider how procrastination affects the quality of our presence in relationships. When we're constantly putting things off, our minds become cluttered with unfinished business. This mental clutter follows us into every interaction, every conversation, every moment with loved ones. We might be physically present, but our minds are elsewhere, preoccupied with all of the things we're avoiding. This half-presence becomes a form of emotional absence, and our relationships suffer for it. The impact of this pattern goes far deeper than we might realize. When we consistently procrastinate in our relationships, we create an environment of uncertainty and insecurity. Our loved ones never quite know if they can count on us. They learn to expect disappointment, to anticipate delay, to settle for less than they deserve. And slowly, imperceptibly, the foundation of trust begins to crack. But perhaps the most insidious effect of relationship procrastination is how it impacts our own capacity for joy. You see, true happiness isn't something that exists in isolation. It's deeply connected to the quality of our relationships. When we procrastinate in our connections with others, we're actually procrastinating on our own happiness. We're choosing the temporary comfort of avoidance over the lasting satisfaction of genuine connection. Let's talk about the fear that drives this pattern. Deep down, procrastination in relationships often stems from a fear of emotional vulnerability. We put off difficult conversations because we're afraid of conflict. We delay reaching out to old friends because we're afraid of rejection. We postpone expressing our feelings because we're afraid of being hurt. But here's the paradox. In trying to protect ourselves from emotional pain, we create the very disconnection we're trying to avoid. This fear manifests in countless subtle ways. We scroll through social media instead of having real conversations. We busy ourselves with work to avoid facing relationship issues. We fill our schedules with tasks and activities, leaving no room for genuine connection. Each of these choices is a form of procrastination, a way of avoiding the emotional vulnerability that deep relationships require. But here's where transformation becomes possible. The moment we recognize these patterns, we can begin to make different choices. And these choices don't have to be grand gestures or dramatic changes. They can be small, consistent actions that prioritize connection over comfort, presence over procrastination. Imagine what would happen if you decided right now to stop procrastinating on the relationships that matter most to you. What if you chose to send that text you've been putting off? What if you made that phone call you've been avoiding? What if you finally had that conversation you've been delaying? These small actions, taken consistently, have the power to transform your relationships, and the key lies in understanding that every moment of procrastination is actually a choice point, an opportunity to either strengthen or weaken our connections with others. When we choose to act instead of delay, to engage instead of avoid, to be present instead of absent, we're choosing to invest in our own happiness and the happiness of those we love. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about making a conscious decision to stop putting off the connections that matter most. It's about recognizing that the cost of procrastination in our relationships is simply too high. The joy we sacrifice, the trust we erode, the love we leave unexpressed, these are prices we can no longer afford to pay. Think about the relationships in your life that have suffered because of procrastination. Think about the connections that have weakened, the trust that has eroded, the joy that has diminished. Now imagine those same relationships transformed by consistent attention, care, and imagine the depth of connection possible when you choose engagement over avoidance, action over delay. The beauty of this transformation is that it begins with a single choice, the choice to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acting in this moment. The choice to stop putting off connection and start cultivating it right now. The choice to stop procrastinating on your own happiness and start investing in it today. Every moment of procrastination in your relationships is a moment of connection lost forever. But equally true is, every moment you choose presence over procrastination is a moment of connection gained, a moment of trust built, a moment of joy created. The power to make this change lies within you. The question is no longer whether you can transform your relationships and reclaim your happiness. The question is whether you're willing to make the choice right now to stop putting off what matters most. Are you ready to make that choice? Are you ready to stop procrastinating on your own happiness? Take a moment to let that question sink in. Feel the weight of its implications, because the answer to that question, and more importantly, the actions that follow, will determine not just the quality of your relationships, but the very quality of... The time for change is not tomorrow, not next week, not when things settle down. The time for change is now. Now that we understand how deeply procrastination affects our relationships and happiness, let's talk about breaking free from this pattern. Because understanding the problem is only half the battle. The real transformation comes from taking action. And that's exactly what we're going to explore now. How to move from awareness to action, from intention to implementation. The first step in breaking free from relationship procrastination is to understand that every moment of delay is actually a decision. We don't procrastinate passively. We actively choose to put things off. And once we recognize this truth, we can begin to make different choices. But these choices don't have to be grand gestures or dramatic transformations. They can start small with simple actions that prioritize connection over comfort. Let me share a powerful truth with you now. The quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your decisions in the present moment. Not tomorrow's decisions, not next week's decisions, but the decisions you make right now. When you truly understand this, you realize that procrastination isn't just about poor time management. It's about poor life management. Think about the decisions you make in any given moment. When you choose to scroll through social media instead of having a meaningful conversation with your partner, that's a decision. When you choose to stay late at work instead of attending your child's event, that's a decision. When you choose to put off reaching out to a friend who's struggling, that's a decision. Each of these choices might seem small in isolation, but together they create the fabric of your relationships and your life. But here's where hope enters the picture. Just as small decisions can erode our relationships over time, small positive choices can strengthen them. Every time you choose presence over distraction, connection over avoidance, or action over delay, you're making a deposit in your relationship bank account. These deposits might seem insignificant in the moment, but they compound over time, creating stronger bonds and deeper connections. Let's talk about practical strategies for making these positive choices. The first strategy is what I call the 5-minute rule. When you notice yourself procrastinating on a relationship matter, whether it's making a phone call, having a conversation, or spending quality time with someone, commit to taking just 5 minutes of action right now. Often, you'll find that once you start, you'll want to continue. The hardest part isn't doing the action, it's starting the action. The second strategy is to reframe how you think about relationship priorities. Instead of saying, I don't have time, try saying this isn't a priority right now. This simple shift in language reveals the truth of our... When you say, I don't have time to call my friend, it sounds like an external constraint. But when you say, calling my friend isn't a priority right now, you have to confront the reality of your choice. This awareness often leads to different decisions. Another powerful strategy is what I call connection before correction. Often, we procrastinate on relationships because we're waiting for the perfect moment or trying to find the right words. But connection doesn't require perfection. Instead of waiting until you have everything figured out, choose to connect first. The simple act of showing up, of being present, often creates the very conditions needed for deeper understanding and growth. Think about this. Every relationship in your life exists in one of three states: growing stronger, growing weaker, or dying. There is no neutral ground. When you procrastinate in your relationships, you're not maintaining the status quo. You're actively choosing the path of disconnection. But when you choose to act, to engage, to be present, you're choosing the path of growth and connection. Let's talk about the role of fear in relationship procrastination. Often, we put things off because we're afraid of vulnerability, afraid of rejection, afraid of confrontation. But here's a powerful truth. The fear never goes away by avoiding it. In fact, avoidance only makes the fear grow stronger. The only way through fear is through action. Every time you choose to act despite your fear, you weaken its hold on you. Consider implementing what I call the present moment priority check. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself, am I procrastinating on any relationships right now What connection am I putting off? What conversation am I avoiding? This simple practice brings awareness to your choices and creates opportunities for different decisions. But perhaps the most powerful strategy is to understand that every moment of connection is a gift, not just to others, but to yourself. When you choose to engage instead of avoid, to connect instead of deflect, to be present instead of absent, you're not just investing in your relationships. You're investing in your own happiness and fulfillment. Think about the relationships that matter most to you right now. What would change if you decided to stop procrastinating on these connections? What if you chose to make that call, have that conversation, spend that quality time? Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. What if you decided that your relationships were too precious to put on hold any longer? The transformation we're talking about isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your choices with your desires, your behavior with your beliefs. It's about stopping the endless cycle of postponement and stepping into the full power of the present moment. Every time you choose connection over procrastination, you're not just changing a habit, you're changing your life. Every time you choose presence over postponement, you're not just improving a relationship, you're improving your capacity for joy. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you're not just making a decision, you're making a declaration about what truly matters in your life. As you move forward, I want you to hold on to this truth. The time for connection is not tomorrow. The time for healing is not next week. The time for joy is not someday in the future. The time is now, right here, in this moment. Because this moment, this precious, unrepeatable moment, is all we ever really have. Take a deep breath and feel the truth of these words settling into your heart. Feel the possibility that exists in this moment. The possibility of different choices, deeper connections, and authentic happiness. The possibility of a life no longer held hostage by procrastination, but freed by the power of present moment action. As we delve deeper into this journey of transformation, let's explore what happens when we truly commit to breaking free from the chains of procrastination in our relationships. Because this isn't just about making different choices, it's about becoming a different person. It's about fundamentally shifting how we show up in our relationships and in our lives. You see, when we begin to break free from procrastination, something remarkable happens. We start to experience life differently. Colors become more vivid, moments become more precious, connections become more meaningful. It's as if we've been living life through a foggy window, and suddenly the glass has been wiped clean. We begin to see with clarity what truly matters. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's not a single moment of revelation that changes everything. Instead, it's a series of small choices made consistently over time that gradually reshape our reality. Each time we choose presence over procrastination, we're not just making a better decision. We're literally rewiring our brains. We're creating new neural pathways that make connection easier and procrastination more difficult. Think about this. Every time you've procrastinated in your relationships, you've reinforced a pattern in your brain that says avoidance is safe, that delay is comfortable, that postponement is acceptable. But every time you choose to act instead of delay, you're creating a new pattern. You're teaching your brain that connection is safe. That presence is rewarding. That engagement brings joy. Let me share something profound about this process of transformation. The hardest part isn't making the change. It's maintaining the change. It's continuing to choose presence when the initial excitement of transformation is worn off. It's choosing connection even when you don't feel like it. It's staying committed to your relationships even when life gets busy or complicated. This is where most people falter. They make a passionate commitment to change, but when the emotion fades, they slip back into old patterns. They start strong but finish weak. They begin with enthusiasm but end with excuses. And slowly, imperceptibly, they find themselves right back where they started, trapped in the cycle of procrastination, wondering what went wrong. But you're going to be different. You're going to understand something that most people never grasp. The key to lasting transformation isn't motivation, it's identity. When you shift how you see yourself, your behaviors naturally align with that new. Instead of saying, I'm trying to procrastinate less, you begin to think, I am someone who values connection over comfort. I am someone who chooses presence over postponement. I am someone who acts rather than delays. This identity shift is crucial because it changes the fundamental question you ask yourself in moments of choice. Instead of asking, what do I feel like doing? You begin to ask, what would someone who values relationships do in this moment? Instead of asking, can I put this off? You begin to ask, how can I show up fully right now? Consider how this shift might play out in your daily life. When you're tired after a long day and tempted to postpone that important conversation with your partner, your new identity reminds you that you're someone who chooses connection over comfort. When you're busy and tempted to delay reaching out to a friend who's struggling, your new identity reminds you that you're someone who prioritizes relationships over convenience. It's not about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and desires. Because deep down, you already know that relationships are what matter most. You already know that connection brings joy. You already know that presence is more fulfilling than procrastination. Think about the relationships in your life that have suffered because of procrastination. Now imagine those same relationships transformed by consistent presence, by reliable connection, by unwavering engagement. Imagine the trust that could be built, the joy that could be created, the love that could be expressed when you stop putting off what matters most. This transformation isn't just about improving your relationships. It's about reclaiming your power to create the life you truly desire. Because every time you choose presence over procrastination, you're not just making a better decision, you're making a declaration about who you are and what matters to you. You're saying, this is who I choose to be. This is what I choose to value. This is how I choose to live. Let me share a powerful truth about this process. The moment you stop seeing relationship procrastination as a habit to break and start seeing it as a choice that doesn't align with who you are, everything changes. Your actions begin to flow naturally from your identity rather than from your willpower. Your choices become expressions of your values rather than battles with your impulses. But this transformation requires something from you. It requires courage. The courage to be vulnerable when you'd rather hide. The courage to be present when you'd rather escape. The courage to engage when you'd rather avoid. This courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite your fear. About choosing connection even when it feels uncomfortable. Every moment of procrastination in your relationships is a moment where you're choosing your comfort over your growth, your safety over your potential, your fear over your love. But every moment you choose presence over procrastination is a moment where you're choosing your growth over your comfort, your potential over your safety, your love over your fear. As we continue this journey together, I want you to hold on to this truth. You are not your past choices. You're not your patterns of procrastination. You are not your habits of delay. You are the awareness that observes these patterns, and you are the power. You are the author of your story. And in this moment, right here, right now, you can begin writing a new chapter. Take a moment to feel the truth of these words resonating in your heart. Feel the possibility that exists in this moment, the possibility of being fully present, deeply connected, truly alive. Feel the power that comes from knowing that you don't have to wait for someday to start living the life you desire. That someday is today. That moment is now. As we reach this final moment together, let's talk about what happens next, because everything we discussed, every insight, every strategy, every truth, it means nothing without action, and not action tomorrow, not action next week, but action right now in this present moment. You see, we're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to more of the same. More procrastination, more disconnection, more regret. The other path leads to transformation, to deeper connections, authentic joy, and lasting fulfillment. The choice between these paths isn't made once and for all. It's made moment by moment, decision by decision, action by action. Think about this. Every great transformation in human history began with a single moment of choice. A moment when someone decided that the old way was no longer acceptable. A moment when someone chose to stop waiting and start acting. A moment when someone decided that the cost of staying the same was greater than the cost of change. This is your moment, right here, right now. This is your opportunity to make a different choice, to write a different story, to create a different future. Not through grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but through small, consistent choices that prioritize connection over comfort, presence over procrastination, love over fear. Not about being profound about this moment of choice. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never procrastinating again. It's about making a fundamental shift in how you approach your relationships in your life. It's about moving from a mindset of someday to a mindset of today, from later to now, from when I'm ready to ready or not. Because here's the truth that we must all face. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be an ideal time. There will never be a point when all the stars align and everything falls perfectly into place. The perfect moment is a myth that keeps us trapped in patterns of procrastination, waiting for conditions that will never come. Think about the relationships in your life right now. Think about the connections that matter most to you. What conversations have you been putting off? What expressions of love have you been delaying? What moments of connection have you been postponing? Now imagine if you decided right here, right now, that you would no longer wait for the perfect moment to nurture these relationships. This isn't about making dramatic changes overnight. It's about making different choices in the small moments that make up your days. It's about sending that text message now instead of later. It's about having that conversation today instead of tomorrow. It's about showing up fully in this moment instead of waiting for a better one. Every moment of procrastination in your relationships is a moment of connection lost forever. But equally true is this: every moment you choose presence over procrastination is a moment of connection gained forever. These moments, these small, seemingly insignificant choices, are the building blocks of your relationships in your life. Let me share one final truth with you. The joy you seek, the connection you desire, the love you want to experience, they're not waiting for you in some distant future. They're available right now in this moment through your choices and actions. Every time you choose presence over procrastination, you're not just improving your relationships, you're improving your capacity for joy. Think about the cost of continuing on the path of procrastination. Think about the connections that will weaken, the trust that will erode, the joy that will diminish if you keep choosing delay over action, postponement over presence, someday over today. Now think about the possibilities that open up when you choose a different path. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that you're no longer a prisoner to procrastination. Imagine moving through your days fully present, deeply connected, truly alive. Imagine going to sleep each night knowing that you didn't put off what mattered most, that you didn't delay your joy, that you didn't postpone your life. This isn't just a dream. This is a possibility that exists right now in this moment through your choices and actions. The power to transform your relationships, to reclaim your joy, to create the life you desire, it's all available to you right now. And not tomorrow, not next week, not someday, now. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to make a decision. Not a decision about what you'll do tomorrow or next week, but a decision about what you'll do right now. What conversation will you have today? What connection will you nurture now? What action will you take in this moment? Because this is it. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to break free from the chains of procrastination and step into the life you truly desire. This is your chance to stop putting off your happiness, to stop delaying your joy, to stop postponing. Every moment is a choice point. Every decision is a declaration of what matters most. Every action is a step either toward connection or away from it. The quality of your relationships and ultimately the quality of your life will be determined by the choices you make in moments just like this one. What will you choose? Will you continue down the path of procrastination, putting off what matters most? Or will you choose the path of presence, engaging fully with life and love? Will you wait for someday to start living the life you desire? Or will you decide that someday is today? The answer to these questions, and more importantly, the actions that follow, will determine not just the quality of your relationships, but the very quality of your life. The time for transformation is not tomorrow. The time for connection is not next week. The time for joy is not someday in the future. The time is now. This moment, this breath, this choice. Take a deep breath and feel the power of this moment. Feel the possibility that exists right here, right now. Feel the strength that comes from knowing that you don't have to wait for someday to start living fully, loving deeply, and connecting authentically. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your life. Choose wisely. Choose consciously. Choose now. Because in the end, we don't regret the things we did. We regret the connections we delayed, the love we postponed, the joy we put off until tomorrow. Don't let another moment slip away. Don't let another opportunity for connection pass by. Don't let another day go by putting off what matters most. The time is now. The choice is yours. The life you desire awaits. What will you choose?